The only tricky part was, between Darkness and the River, he wrote like 100 songs. And literally, after he wrote 8 for Born to Run, right? And then he wrote 100. It was interesting. The trickiest part was making sure you weren't stealing anything.
Hey, welcome to your Uncle Joe's Garage, powered by Mike Thompson RV. He's been here before and he's come back for even more. Steve Van Zandt.
Hi, sir.
Hello. Great to see you.
Good to see you.
It's very unusual for you to have a few minutes in your busy schedule to be able to do something like this.
I make a point of it, man.
Since we saw you last, you've toured the world 2 or 3 times, played to millions of people along the way, and somehow completed a solo album called Soulfire. This is what it looks like. And I'm going to take it, this has been work underway for quite a while, hasn't it?
Well, surprisingly not. I mean, it's been a long time since I made a record. If that's what you mean. Yeah. But this was done very quickly, very spontaneously. Believe it or not, it doesn't seem like it, I know. But it was in between the European and Australian tours this year. Mm-hmm. We had a couple months off, and we just ran in and did the whole thing in 5-6 weeks,
Was your band basically the group you're working with when you're introducing Darlene Love?
There's a lot of those same cats, yes, mm-hmm. Yes. From the Darlene Love album last year, Mark Ribler, I had recruited to be her music director, so I borrowed him from Darlene. And, some English promoter just said, I got a blues festival, throw a band together and play it.
Had you ever done a blues festival before?
No. And I hadn't I hadn't fronted a band in 20, 25 years, So I thought, let's give it a shot, It's been a while. Let's see how it feels.
There's some great music on this. It's not news to you, but there's some great music on this. Soulfire, the title track itself, I think is a great way to start things out.
Thank you.
A lot of this was recorded, the basic stuff recorded live in the studio, I would assume.
Well, yeah. My studio's not super big. It's about the size of Motown or Chess or Sun, they did okay, but I will overdub, I'll overdub horns and strings, because it's all real, it's all real strings, real horns. The background vocals will sometimes overdub, but the rhythm tracks are all live, and it's all analog, and I record the tape, and some of the vocals are live. I tried to re-sing a couple of vocals, and the drum sound changed because there's some drum leakage coming through the door, So I kept them as they were. There's 3 or 4 vocals on there, reference vocals.
You referenced that there's a 15-piece band you put together. Is that?
Yeah.
Are they all represented on here? Is that what you're playing?
Yeah.
Can you actually tour with a 15-piece band?
Yeah, I can.
Asking the guy who works with Bruce Springsteen for how many years can you tour with 15? Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it to those of you, with who care about economics, but I ain't gonna do that. I'm gonna go out with 5 horns, 3 girls, and we're doing 5 weeks in Europe starting on Monday.
And the song Soulfire was co-written with a dude from Denmark or someplace, wasn't it?
Yeah, a lot of this stuff was co-written for other people. That was the whole idea, was to do an album of covers where I'm covering myself, really,
Yeah.
And because, I hadn't written an album in a long time, so 2 of the songs are new, but the rest are all covers I had written for other people and with other people. For that's the title track was written for a group called the Breakers from Denmark, and
you found them in the underground garage.
Yeah. Yeah, there's quite a few.
You've had, how many unknown musicians have you put on there? A few hundred.
We've introduced over 700 new bands.
700 new bands.
Yeah.
That's a lot of bass players.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it difficult, because you mentioned you re-recorded some of these songs, is it difficult to redo something years and years after you did the original? Some of the Southside Johnny things, I remember when those first came out.
Yeah. Well, it's tricky because not only did I write them, I of course arranged and produced them. So once in a while, man, those things just don't want to change. They want to be the way they were. There's 2 or 3 songs on the album that I tried changing the string part, I didn't want it. Tried changing the horn part, they didn't want it. So there's very similar arrangements on 2 or 3 of the songs, just me singing maybe instead of Southside. But it also makes you appreciate the original vocals, you know, because some of these songs, man, are tricky. They're very minimal melodies, you know, very simple melodies. You can't mess around with that. You know, start improvising all over the place. And because there's fewer notes in the melody, it makes every note count more. You know, it's a little bit more, you need more of a commitment to it. You know, it's more of an intense sort of vocal experience. And being on the other side of the mic, you know, doing some of these things made me appreciate Southside Johnny even more. You know, people like, you know, who had done the original versions, you know.
The song "I'm Coming Back," which you've done with Southside Johnny and the Jukes, you mentioned the lyrics on that. That's great. I mean, that's great stuff.
Yeah, so I picked the songs that I felt were not only my best, but also ones that resonated with me personally. You know, even though I've written it for somebody else, you know, they work for me also. And that's not true with every song, but the ones I picked for this album, it is true. You know?
Is it challenging working with somebody like Bruce on a regular basis to write music on your own? And
well, no, you know, because we both came up together, so it wasn't like. And I worked on a lot of his stuff. You know, we in the early days, you know, we had band rehearsals where things got arranged in the rehearsals. You know, so I contributed a lot to the arrangements of the songs. The only tricky part was, you know, between Darkness and the River, you know, he wrote like 100 songs. And literally,
yeah.
You know, after he wrote 8 for Born to Run,
yeah.
Right? And then he wrote 100.
Yeah.
It was interesting. The trickiest part was making sure, you know, you weren't stealing anything. You know what I mean? It wasn't so much intimidating as it was just making sure I wasn't stealing a lick of his or something, you know, from one of those songs that hadn't been released then. A lot of them have come out now, you know, on these re-releases of these box sets and things, you know. But for a while there, I was carrying 100 songs in my head that, you know, we had worked on, and I'd make sure I wasn't stealing anything.
It has to be amazingly difficult to keep things separated like that.
Yeah, I kind of know. You know, I kind of know where things come from, you know, generally, and I will intentionally put things in sometimes. You know, I like having my influences right there on my sleeve. You know, I don't mind doing that. I make a point of it sometimes. I want people to make those connections. I want somebody to say, "Isn't that a Mike Bloomfield? Look, he just took, you know, well, let me go buy one of them Electric Flag albums and check it, you know, or let me go check with Paul Butterfield and, you know, make sure, you know, see what Stevie's stealing today." You know, that you know, I like that. I mean, I encourage that kind of thing. You know?
We were impressed because you were involved with the Bang film,
yeah.
Music arranged.
No, I just narrated it.
Narrated, okay.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that was that be the second generation of artists you're dealing with? Because the first ones you said were the crazy people who were fronting a band, the pioneers like Little Richard and Buddy Holly.
Well, Burt Burns was more behind the scenes. He was, where would we place him? We'd have to place him somewhere early. I mean, he was co-writing and writing by the late '50s. So he kind of crossed from the first generation into the second generation into the '60s, and just one of the great writer producers of all time. You know, it's such an honor to have been asked to narrate that thing.
It was stunning too. Some of the songs that are so basic to you and me and people who were around when it started out. Some of the things like even the McCoys and the stuff going on like that.
Yeah, Slippy and Twist and Shout and. You know, a lot of Janis Joplin stuff and all kinds of cool things.
And there's a lot of material. Soulfire is the name of the new album. Are you going to tour this?
I am. I'm starting
with
Monday.
15 people.
I'm with 15 people. I'm you gotta. I mean, I'm just hearing things bigger lately, and you can't go out there and fake it. You know, you want to go out there and do it right. So we're gonna start in Europe, and then we'll get back here, maybe for the fall.
Well, it's amazing, the schedule. I admire you so much for the schedule that you keep going out on the road every now and then just for something to do, to travel to the various continents around. Playing for 4 hours? I don't know how the hell you do that.
Well, let's hope that does not become a habit. Okay, that was a bit much. I got to tell you, that was pushing the envelope a little bit too far. But the last tour we did in Australia, we kept it to pretty a very civilized 3 hours for the most part.
I love it. That and your radio show, The Underground Garage. And,
Yeah,
and all
we continue with that, and the Rock and Roll Forever curriculum is writing more lessons for kids. Right now there's 100 lessons online at teachrock.org. Teachers can use it right now for free, and it meets all the state standards. It's the real thing.
Good.
You know, yeah, teachrock.org. And we keep doing what we can do. You know, trying to stay out of trouble.
Really? Yeah, okay. Soulfire is the new album. Little Steven Van Zandt. Do we call you Little Steven, or are you
That's it.
Stevie when you're away from the band?
Stevie, Steven, Dr. Soulfire, whatever you want.
Whoa, I like that right there. Thank you so much for being here, and can't wait to see you in the band.
Yeah, man. Good band. Good band.
Stephen Van Zandt, your Uncle Joe's Garage. Hey, here we are inside your Uncle Joe's Garage, and I know you haven't been inside the garage yet, but I got some great news for you. We've created a mobile version of the Uncle Joe's Garage thanks to our friends at Mike Thompson RV Superstores. Like they say, don't miss a moment. And don't miss the mobile Uncle Joe's Garage when it comes to a location near you. I'll be looking for you.